that's where my MODx files are sitting. Now this is a long process, so I'm going to start it. I'm going to override all. I'm going to start this process and I'm going to take a pause, and we'll come back and continue as soon as this is done. All right, and I'll be back shortly. All right, and we're back. The upload has finished, and to be honest, I think that that part is the most painful process in updating your website, is just waiting for all these files to upload to your server. But once that is done, that takes more than a few minutes. So might be a good time to grab yourself a cup of coffee, maybe make some lunch or dinner or something, or have an interesting book to read or something else to work on, because that does take some time. All right, so all my files have transferred over. I've uploaded 100. All right, and so the next step, if I just come back to my website here, the next step that I want to do is actually want to run the install. All right. Okay, so there we go. You just want to go to your website URL and type install. And then I'm going to choose next step. And right here, you see now that my default option, instead of new installation, my default option is upgrade existing install. And this is what I want to do. I want to upgrade my existing install. All right, so make sure that that's what you click. Now there's an option here for an advanced upgrade, and it says this is advanced database admins or moving to servers with different database connections, character set, and all that stuff. But we're not doing that. We're staying exactly where we are. We just want to upgrade what's right there. So we're not doing the advanced upgrade. We're just going to do the very simple one there. Right? So I'm going to click next. And this is pretty much the same screen you'd see when you were doing a fresh install. It asks you, do you want to install a sample website? You don't want to do that, okay? Because if you install the sample website, it's going to overwrite all your files. It's going to overwrite the website that you're trying to update. So make sure you steer clear of that. Make sure it's not checked. Don't even touch it, okay? And then here's the option to install all these modules and plugins and chunks. Now I just go ahead and I install them because I had them before, and installing them here, I'm going to be getting the fresh and updated copies, as I talked about before when I said I made a list of the versions of all my snippets and stuff. And so I'm going to select to install all of them. Of course, I don't use all of them, but it's kind of nice to have them there as I continue to expand and build my website. If I need functionality, I don't have to go back to the MODx website and download snippets and upload them. A lot of the common ones are already here bundled with my my update. So let's make sure everything looks good. We're not doing that. We're not doing sample website. We're steering clear of that option. Everything is selected. We're good to go. So install. All right. Keep our fingers crossed. Okay. Everything looks good. Everything is in green. There are no red errors. There are no problems. And of course, I agree to the terms of the MODx license. Click install. All right. Let's look at that. We have everything looks good. Everything is clear. Upgraded, excellent. This is what I want to see. Installation was successful. So now we want to remove the install folder, and that's for security, okay? And click close, and that will, you see here it says this will log us into the content manager, all right? So I'm going to click close, and that brings me back to my login. It still remembers my credentials. Login. All right, there we go. We now have the 100 backend, all right? And one more thing we need to do, it says as this is a new install, you're required to control these settings and change any that you may wish to, and then press save to update the settings database. So I'm just going to take a quick look. I don't think I need to change anything here right now. It all looks exactly the way it was before. Site status looks good. Just going to take a quick glance. All right, everything looks good. Right here, I'm going to change my default template because I'm using Zen Home. I'm going to change that because I don't want to go back to minimal. I want to keep my template that I'm using, and everything else looks pretty good. And so I'm going to, and I can always come back and change these settings. So I'm going to click save. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to preview my website, make sure everything looks good. All right, Ajax search version is obsolete. Empty your browser cache and check the versions of Ajax search. All right. So already I can see that with Ajax search, I'm going to have to do something different. But you can see that the website works great, all right? It's going to keep nagging me about Ajax such. All right, no problem. But you can see that my pages look pretty good. Let me just go back to the manager here for a second. And this is where the housekeeping comes in. Oops, I think I spelled something wrong there. But see, this is what I meant when I talked about needing to look at your versions of your snippets and stuff and make sure that everything looks good. If I come here under elements, and remember in Evolution 963, they're called resources. In 100, they're called elements. And this is some of the stuff we covered in the last screencast, where we looked at, we did a comparison of the manager backends between 963 and 100. So you might want to revisit that screencast to make sure that you're up to speed with the changes in terminology. So if I go to manage elements, and I'm just going to pull up my old versions file here, and I'm going to do a little comparison. There we go. Ajax search 183. I had 181 before, so I probably need to make some changes there. Breadcrumbs is the same. Ditto is the same. eForms has gone up 1, so I'm going to take a quick look at the change log and make sure that I don't need to make any changes to my contact form, because I used eForm to make my contact form on this website. Everything else looks pretty much. Jot is the same. List indexes the same. Member check, and I could go all the way down and make comparisons. And of course, this is what I'm going to do in the housekeeping stage to make sure everything looks good. But you can see we've upgraded our website. We've updated it from 963 to 100. I definitely need to go back and do a little house cleaning, make sure that everything looks good, make sure that my snippet calls are still valid, look at the eForm change log between the two versions, make sure that everything is still valid, that I'm calling things the way I should be calling them, and that I'm using the correct parameters. But in brief, that's how you update your website from MODx 963 to 100. It's a pretty painless process. Like I said, the most painful part is waiting for all those files to upload to your server, because it is a long, big upload. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Cardinal rules, things you want to remember when you're doing your update: make a backup, make a backup, make a backup. Okay? Please do not fail to make a backup. Did I say that enough? Make a backup of your site database and your site files. And, make sure that you know what any custom stuff that you've done, make sure that you know that, so that you can make sure that it's all working, and make any changes you need to do your housekeeping duties, make sure your site is working well. All right, thank you for hanging out with me throughout these tutorials, this screencast. Remember, if you want more MODx tutorials, if you want to, learn more about MODx, you can always go to the main website under Learn, Books, Tutorials, and Training, and there's a list of there's a MODx web development book by Antonio Solar, and then there's a list of places where you can find tutorials, including the coding pad, which is my blog right here. And like I said, if you go under beginner tutorials, there's a list of tutorials, beginner series, building a website with MODx for complete beginners. And if you just click on the MODx tag right there, you'll see whatever I've written about that has to do with MODx. And I'll be doing these screencasts as frequently as I can. And we're going to keep growing and learning more about MODx. So thank you for hanging out with me today. Please feel free to leave your comments and any questions in the comments section at my blog. If you're watching this on YouTube or Vimeo, I do check there for comments, but I probably will respond much faster if you leave a comment at my blog, codingpad.maryspad.com. And thank you for hanging out with me. And until next time, good